KP Video News. It's KP Video News, y'all.
That's right. It's KP's Video News. And I'm going to do a story here about the dunce of all dunces, Defective Goods over there out of D.C. And he's been acting a real clown here lately. It seems like when it's a subject that's related to black people or minorities, everything that comes out of Trump's mouth is either always negative, or if it's not completely negative, he's just completely silent. Just say like when something happens and somebody black gets killed or something like that, he's just like completely silent. He doesn't have a damn thing to say, or if some white terrorists out there, homegrown terrorists, go out and kill a bunch of people, he's completely silent. He doesn't have a word to say, not nothing, absolutely nothing to say, so it's like, I don't know, the guy's just really weird. But out of his weirdness, you have a bunch of ex-generals that came out against Trump. And so I'm going to read the story. Colin Powell became the latest retired U.S. military leader to speak out against Donald Trump, saying that he has drifted away from the Constitution and weighing a plan to have active duty military members patrol the nation's streets. We have a Constitution, and we have to follow the Constitution, and the president has drifted away from it, said Powell, a retired Army general and President George W. Bush's first Secretary of State. He lies about things, he gets away with it because people will not hold him accountable, Powell said, who served as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he stated that the other day. Retired generals and admirals who spoke out with unprecedented vehemence in recent days were galvanized by the use of force against demonstrators outside the White House and by Trump's threat to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807 to send active duty troops into states roiled by protests, even if governors objected. Trump has backed away from such moves in recent days while continuing to tweet his calls for law and order. The public break with the president at a time of heightened concern about racism in America comes as the military undergoes a historic change. Racial and ethnic minorities make up 43% of active duty forces in 2017, an increase from 25% in 1990, according to reports from the Pew Research Center, yet they are much less evident in military top ranks. So let me say that again. Ethnic minorities make up 43% of active duty forces. Those are the forces that are actually fighting in war, yet they have much less evident in the top military ranks. So they got them out there fighting, but they're not letting them go up the ranks. They're not earning their stripes. In a widely circulated Twitter post last week, Air Force's top enlisted leader spoke out after the death of George Floyd in police custody, and Caleb O'Wright wrote on Twitter, "I am George Floyd," explaining, "I'm a black man who happens to be a Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, and I'm committed to making this better." Here's a selection of the former military leaders and their comments. Jim Mattis. Mattis handed one of the strongest blows to Trump, given that he was the president's first defense chief and is a scholar of military history and strategy. His willingness to join Trump cabinet helped bolster the president's national security credentials in 2016. Mattis was often described as one of the adults in Trump's early White House before having a falling out. Last week, Mattis, who quit the Trump administration in December in a disagreement over withdrawing troops from Syria, and said the U.S. is suffering the consequences of 3 years without mature leadership, and that Trump was the first president in his lifetime who does not even pretend even pretend to try to unify the nation. Instead, he tries to divide us. And then John Kelly, the former chief of staff under Trump, stated, "I think we need to look harder at who we elect," said Kelly, who left the White House in January 2019. "I think we should look at the people who are running for office and put them through the filter. What is their character like? What are their ethics?" Mike Mullen, former Joint Chiefs Chairman, stated that said that he was sickened to see the National Guard troops joining law enforcement to forcibly clear peaceful protesters from Lafayette Square outside the White House so Trump could make a photo op. Said he laid bare his disdain for the rights of peaceful protest in this country, gave to succor to the leaders of other countries who take comfort in our domestic strife and risk further politicizing the men and women of our armed forces. Mullen said that the military should never be called to fight our own people as the enemies of the state, and that, quite frankly, for me, really tipped it over. Should we get into a conflict in our own streets, there's a very significant chance we could lose the trust that has taken 50 plus years to restore, recalling the damage that was done by the unpopular Vietnam War. Jim Allen headed forces in Afghanistan. To even a casual observer, Monday was awful for the United States and its democracy. And everybody's talking about this. Martin Dempsey, former Joint Chiefs of Staff, the idea that the president would take charge of the situation using military was troubling to me, said Dempsey, a retired Army general who served as Joint Chiefs. William McRaven, another one. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And they just really just sick and tired of this complete idiot. They just sick and tired of him. And and here's a list. The list of many political appointees to Donald Trump and have resigned or been dismissed. The record-setting turnover rate in the Trump administration has been noted in various publications. Several Trump appointees, including National Secretary Advisor Michael Flynn, White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci, and the Secretary of Health and Human Resources Tom Price, have been the shortest service tenures in the history of their respective offices. On September 18th, 2019, a reporter asked Trump about the lack of stability in his administration, particularly in the Department of Home Defense. He replied, "We have acting people. The reason they are acting is because I'm seeing how I like them, and I'm liking them a lot of them very, very much. There are people who have done a bad job, and I let them go. If you call that turmoil, I don't call that turmoil." Shit. This dude's he's a complete fucking idiot, man. A complete idiot. But a comprehensive list includes, in addition to dismissals and resignation, routine job changes such as promotions, officials moving to a comparable position, and acting or temporary officials being replaced by permanent ones. The list does not include many lower level positions, however, such as that of Executive Director of the United States Integrity Council on Homelessness, Matthew Doherty, dismissed in November 2019 without a replacement to lead the council that was created in 1987. So that means that nobody's even running that office. That office has just been abolished. And that was the abolished that was in charge of the Council on Homelessness. And I don't know about you, but every city I've been to lately has a total homeless person problem. And now you know why, because nobody's trying to do anything about it in the federal government. But less prominent officials are listed because their departure was newsworthy. As of May 25th, 2020, there have been 415 unique names that were dismissed and or resigned. Let me say that again. As of May 25th, 2020, they have 415 unique names dismissed and or resigned from the Trump administration. 415. That's enough people to fill 10 administrations. The guy's unstable. He's totally unstable, and it's just like, yeah. So anyway, as a result of that, we got a new group launches a $10 million campaign to get Republicans to vote for Biden over Trump. That's right. Let me say that again. A new project to encourage Republicans to support former Vice President Joe Biden over Trump has launched a $10 million ad campaign targeting GOP-leaning voters in top swing states. The initiative, called Republican Voters Against Trump, say that name again, Republican Voters Against Trump, has produced multiple ads featuring disaffected GOP voters who say they are not voting for Trump. Many of these testimonies are recorded on smartphones and included voters who have voted for Republican candidates, some of whom voted for Trump in 2016. This person says, I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, but I won't vote for him again, says Jay, a Pennsylvania voter who recorded one of nearly 100 videos featured on the project's website. Some of the testimonies will be featured in the ads. People need to see other people like themselves, says Sarah Longwell, a longtime conservative and Republican consultant who was executive director of Defending Democracy Together, the nonprofit behind the effort. Longwell told the media that the ads will initially target specific voters in the swing states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Arizona, primarily through digital ads. Some television ads have also been produced and will air in those states. Other involved in the project are Bill Kristol, a formerly Weekly Standard editor and a prominent Never Trump commentator, and Tim Miller, a one-time advisor to former Governor Jeb Bush 2016 campaign. Their group, Defending Democracy Together, has also backed an initiative called Republicans for the Rule of Law, which has purchased TV and digital ads to push congressional Republicans to seek more information on the Ukraine investigation that led to Trump impeachment last year. The campaign helped the group find like-minded Republicans, conservatives, and moderates who oppose Trump but have not been traditional Democratic voters. Longwell said the project's goal is to highlight these people for other voters who may be on the fence about supporting Trump in 2020. The whole point of the project is for people to credibly make their case to other people, Longwell said. Trust in the media is down. Trust in politicians is down. The people who they trust are people like them. So it's like they're trying to get him out of there. These are Republicans that are revolting, and they're like, nope, they cannot deal with these people. And the name was called Republican Voters Against Trump. That's right. So I think this election is going to be a landslide for Biden. I think Biden's going to beat Trump by so much that Trump is going to try to throw a curve in the game and probably try to say that, oh, the election is fixed.
KPVIDEONEWS.